Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer, and today you're going to learn English with music. We're going to review 4 different songs, 4 very popular songs, and you're going to learn a lot of advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, and even pronunciation from these songs. Let's get started. First, let's review the song Someone Like You by Adele.
I heard that you're settled down. Settled down. This is a common phrasal verb. To settle down means that you accept responsibility and you live a calmer life. This is generally a natural thing that happens when people are in their early 20s, mid 20s. Some people take longer to settle down. Some people take until they're 30, 35, 40, or even later to settle down. Now, generally, when you settle down, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids, you find a stable job. All of these are the accept responsibility and live a calmer life. Settle down. Now, we use settle down in a different context that's perhaps more common for your daily use, especially as a student in the classroom, because notice this word here, calm, calmer. When you settle down, it is also used to tell everyone to calm down. So if you're in a classroom and you're a teacher and all these students are just talking to each other, making a lot of noise, you would say, settle down, settle down. So you're telling everyone to calm down. So it's also used in that context when a teacher or a parent or even a boss might say, everyone settle down. And in this case, it's the same as the phrasal verb calm down, which simply means to become calmer. To become calmer. Notice for pronunciation, there's no L in this word. It's not call with an L. No, it's calm, And notice the vowel even. It's an calm, calm down, calm down. I heard that you're settled down. So Adele heard that the person that she used to be in a romantic relationship with has now settled down. So he's probably married someone else. That you found a girl, oh yes, and you're married now. So as we discussed, this is an aspect of settling down, which is finding a stable relationship. I heard that your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. So Adele is saying, well, you chose this other woman to settle down with. So likely because she gave you things, maybe love, attention, respect, whatever those things were, that I didn't give you. Now notice it's guess. This is when you say I guess, because of course Adele doesn't know 100% for certain that that's the reason that her ex-boyfriend chose to settle down with another woman instead of her, right? So she's using I guess to say there's some doubt, uncertainty, not 100% certain. The subject is missing here. This is commonly done in spoken English. Instead of saying, I guess, you can just say guess. Guess she gave you things. I guess she's late because she missed her bus. Okay? So you might be discussing why a coworker is late. Oh, I guess she's late because she missed her bus. You can also get rid of this part. I guess she missed her bus. So the question could be, why do you think Sarah is late? I guess she missed her bus. You're not 100% certain, so there's some doubt or uncertainty there. I guess she missed her bus. Old friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. Let's talk about this word. I know students ask a lot of questions about the word ain't. Ain't. You need to know that ain't is slang. It is slang in spoken English. I don't use ain't in my speech because I don't really speak with a lot of slang. And I don't recommend that you use it, to be honest. But the word ain't, even though it's slang, and I recommend avoiding it in spoken or written English, it is extremely common in music, extremely common. Even with musicians who wouldn't use slang in their regular speech, they still use it in music. Why? It's simply because ain't is a one-syllable word and it's easier to say. And in music, the timing is very important. It's the rhythm, it's the beat of the song. So it's just a lot easier to say the word ain't. Now, in this case, ain't means is not. It isn't or is not, which means isn't as a contraction. So notice, isn't, two syllables, ain't, one syllable. Rhythmically, it's easier to say ain't and it changes the sound of the song. And that's why it's just very common in music. It isn't like you to hold back. Ain't like you to hold back. Again, I don't recommend using it in spoken English, but you will hear it all the time in music. What does it mean to hold back? This is when you stop yourself from showing an emotion or you stop yourself from sharing your opinion. For example, I held back my anger in the meeting today. If we're talking about an emotion, you would identify the emotion. I held back my anger, my frustration, my jealousy. Generally, it's negative emotions because generally we want to share positive emotions. But you might hold back your delight if you got promoted and your coworker also wanted the promotion, but your coworker didn't get the promotion, you got it, you might hold back your excitement, your happiness, because you don't want to make the other person feel bad. So it is common to hold back a positive emotion, but it is more generally used with negative emotions. Now, in this case, if you just use it in a general context, you should have held back. It means you shouldn't have shared your opinion. You shouldn't have shared your opinion. Now notice, you should have held back. Saying this positively means you shouldn't have shared your opinion. Because if you didn't hold back, it means you did share your opinion. So we're in a meeting and I say, you know what, everyone, I think this project is a terrible idea. Why are we even doing this? Just now, I didn't hold back. I shared my opinion. Now, my coworker might say, why did you say that, Jennifer? You should have held back. You shouldn't have shared your opinion. So Adele is saying that it's not like her ex-boyfriend to either not share his emotions or not share his opinions. So maybe they're talking, but he isn't really discussing his new life with his new wife, his new house, his new kids, things like that. Let's continue on. I hate to turn up out of the blue. Okay, right here. We have a phrasal verb, to turn up, and we have an idiom, out of the blue. Out of the blue means unexpected. Unexpected. Now, she says uninvited, but it's almost implied with the expression out of the blue. Because if you turn up, which I should tell you what this means, I hate to turn up. This just means arrive at a place. Now, most likely, Adele turned up at her ex-boyfriend's house. Knock, knock. Oh my God, it's my ex-girlfriend. Out of the blue. I wasn't expecting to see my ex-girlfriend at my house, which I own with my new wife, right? So she arrived at a place. We don't know what the place is, but most likely it's his house. It could also be his work. It could be his favorite restaurant, and she knows he goes to that restaurant every Friday night, and Adele turned up out of the blue. She arrived at that restaurant because she knew he would be there, and it was unexpected. He did not know she was going to come uninvited. But I couldn't stay away. I couldn't fight it. So if you stay away, it means you leave him alone. You don't turn up, and you don't turn up out of the blue, which means unexpected. So of course she didn't say, hey, I'm coming over. If she texted him and said, I'm coming over, that isn't out of the blue because it's expected. Now, we use out of the blue a lot. You might say, my boss gave me a promotion out of the blue, which is a really good thing, right? My boss gave me a promotion out of the blue, which means I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know that he was giving promotions to anyone. He didn't mention that. Out of the blue, out of the blue. Notice the pronunciation of this because we really combine these two words to sound like outa, outa, out of the blue, out of the blue. My boss gave me a promotion out of the blue, out of the blue. All right, let's continue on. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded. Okay, so Adele turns up. She arrives at his house, and she had hoped that her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, would see her and be like, I miss you. I miss you. I'm so happy you're here, because you'd be reminded. So when you're reminded of something or someone, you have memories of them. So maybe her ex-boyfriend, he sees her, and then all of a sudden, these positive memories come back to him. That for me, it isn't over. So by saying it isn't over, Adele is saying she still has feelings for this man. She's still in love with him. Because we use this a lot in a romantic context. It's over. It's over. If I say to you, what am I doing? It's over. I'm ending our relationship. So this is used to end a romantic relationship. It's over. It's over. But Adele is saying, for me, it isn't over. I still love you. I still have feelings for you. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. So now the song, although she's confessing, admitting she still loves this man, now she's changing to saying, I'll find someone like you. So I'll find another man who has the same characteristics, personality, maybe even appearance that you have. I wish nothing but the best for you. Don't forget me, I beg. So when you beg, you're saying, please, please, please. So this is a verb, to beg. You might say, I begged my boss to let me leave early today, but he said no. Children beg their parents all the time. Oh, please, please, can you buy me this? Can you take me here? Can you do this for me? Children commonly beg. Adults, it's not, I guess, as common to beg, but still possible. I begged my boss to let me leave. Notice you beg someone to do something. That's the sentence structure. So you might say, my kids have been begging me to take them to Disney World. This is something that I personally begged my dad to do over and over again as a child, and he never did take me to Disney World. So it did not work. It was not successful for me, but who knows? Maybe it's successful for you. And then, so how do you beg? You just simply ask over and over again, or you try to provide different reasons why. I'll remember you said, sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. So that's a very poetic thing to say. If it lasts, obviously it means you stay together as a couple. If it hurts, it's probably because the relationship is over and he said, it's over. It's over. And then she repeats it. Sometimes it lasts, but sometimes it hurts instead. You know how the time flies. I think a lot of students know this expression because they have it in their own native language as well. But when time flies, this is an idiom to simply say that time moves very quickly. Time flies. So if you're working on a project and then all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's 5 hours later, you can say, wow, time flies, time flies. Only yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised in a summer haze. I don't know what a summer haze is, to be honest. Bound by the surprise of our glory days. I hate to turn up. Okay, we already reviewed this. I hate to turn up out of the blue. Okay, we reviewed this. And then this is the chorus. So we reviewed this as well. Here's a different part of the song. Nothing compares. No worries or cares. Regrets and mistakes, they are memories made. Let's take a look at regrets. A regret is something that you wish you didn't do or say. So something you wish you didn't do or say. The important thing about regret is that it is a gerund verb. I regret breaking up with him. So, I regret. The gerund comes the verb that follows regret. So we have regret, and then the next verb that follows it is the gerund. I regret, and then our verb ing, which is our gerund verb. I regret breaking up with him. I regret quitting my job. I regret not quitting my job. So this is something you wish you didn't do or say. In this case, regret is used as a noun in the song because you can have regrets, which are things you wish you hadn't done or said. I have a lot of regrets. Or hopefully, I don't have a lot of regrets because you did and said exactly what you wanted to do and say. Who would have known how bittersweet this would taste? When you describe something as bittersweet, it means that it's both negative and positive. The negative you can think of as sadness and the positive, happiness. Here's an example sentence. You can say, getting a promotion was bittersweet. Now, of course, the happiness of a promotion is the fact that it pays more money, you have a nicer job title, maybe you have some extra perks, more responsibility, more interesting work, more fulfillment. Those are the positives, the happy part of a promotion. What could be the negative, the sad part of the promotion? Maybe you're no longer working with the people you used to work with because the promotion requires you to go to another part of the company. Maybe you're working way longer hours and you're not spending as much time with your family. And that's the negative part of it. So getting a promotion was bittersweet. This is a great expression to use as a gerund statement. A gerund statement is a sentence that starts with ing. So we start with our gerund verb. And you can use this to make more of a statement, a general statement. So you can try this and notice the expression is to be bittersweet, to be bittersweet. And here, of course, I have my verb to be conjugated in the past simple. I could say getting a promotion is bittersweet if I want to say that the emotions are still taking place now, but maybe my promotion was last year, so I'm more talking about at that time of that transition. It was bittersweet. So maybe finishing university was bittersweet. Of course, it was positive because you don't have to study anymore, but it's negative because of whatever reason. So lots of things. So you can try an example in the comments and try it with a gerund statement, and don't forget to conjugate your verb to be. Okay, and this is the same. Our bag, I'm just seeing if anything is different, but it looks like it is the exact same thing. And then she just repeats it.
Amazing job with that song. Feel free to take a break, listen to the song, see all the vocabulary you just learned, and when you're ready, let's continue on with our next song, which is Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. You're going to learn a lot of advanced vocabulary from this song. Let's get started.
Let's start by reviewing the name of the song, which is Anti-Hero. Anti-Hero. An anti-hero is someone who does not have traditional heroic qualities. So notice here, heroic, this is an adjective to describe the qualities. You can also describe a person as heroic. So you could say firefighters, people who fight fires, firefighters are very heroic. So we're using it as an adjective. So anti-hero is someone who does not have these traditional heroic qualities like courage. But even though they don't have those qualities, they're still admired. Now, you probably hear about anti-heroes more in movies, plays, books, in this case, song lyrics. Thinking of movies, the first movie that came to my mind is the movie Deadpool. If you haven't seen the movie Deadpool, I highly recommend it because it's hilarious. And this character is a classic example of an anti-hero. So now let's continue on with the rest of the lyrics. Now remember, this is a song, so it's not going to sound the same just reading it, but I am not going to sing this for you. But I have selected some of the most common expressions and idioms that I think you might not know and will be useful for you to have in your vocabulary. So we're just going to focus on these specific expressions that I've highlighted. And after I explain everything, I've included the link to where you can listen to the song, but with the lyrics as well. So you can follow along with the lyrics. So you can click this link after you've watched the lesson. Okay, so this line is, when my depression works the graveyard shift. So here, what I have highlighted to work the graveyard shift, this is actually a time period. And it's a time period at work that begins late at night, so usually around midnight, and ends early in the morning. So you might work from 12 o'clock midnight to 6 a.m. And there are many people who would have to work the graveyard shift, such as doctors, nurses, police, and firefighters, my earlier example, and of course, many others as well. What about you? Have you ever worked the graveyard shift? Share in the comments below. As an example sentence, you could say, I'm exhausted from working the graveyard shift all week. So that's what it means. Now, she's saying my depression. So she's saying her depression starts affecting her around midnight and it lasts all night into the morning. So that's a very negative thing because obviously you're not going to sleep very well if your depression works the grave night shift, right? So let's go to our next sentence. She says, all of the people I've ghosted stand there in the room. Now, I just want to point out, as we're going through this song, just remember this is a song. Taylor Swift wrote it, and the song is kind of like a dream she had. The lyrics don't really make a lot of sense in terms of telling a story. It's like if you tried to tell someone about your dream and it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. So just keep that in mind as we're reviewing the lyrics. All of the people I've ghosted. Have you heard this expression? To ghost someone. I've been ghosted. I ghosted him. I ghosted her. This is a new expression that has only been used probably for the last 5 to 10 years. When you ghost someone, you suddenly disappear from that person's life, but you don't tell the person that you're ending the relationship. And the relationship could be a romantic relationship, but it could also be a friendship as well. So let's say you started a new friendship with someone and you hung out 3 or 4 times, you went to the movies, you got coffee, you went out for dinner together, and then all of a sudden, that person doesn't talk to you anymore. You send them a message, hey, do you want to get together this weekend? No reply. You send them another message, hey, did you get my last message? No reply. That person just ghosted you. So I wrote the definition here for you, and let me give you another example sentence. We went out on 3 dates, but then she ghosted me. She just stopped replying to my messages, stopped sending me messages, and she didn't tell me or explain why. The next sentence is, I should not be left to my own devices. This is an idiom to leave someone to their own devices. Notice the plural. It's devices, plural, devices. And this is to allow someone to make their own decisions about what to do. So by saying I should not be left to my own devices, Taylor Swift is saying that she should not be allowed to make her own decisions about what to do. Here's another example sentence. My boss never leaves me to my own devices. So my boss doesn't allow me to make my own decisions. Of course, in this context, it's about a workplace decisions, right? So it's a very common expression, more so used in a business context. But as you can see with Taylor Swift, you can use it in a general context as well. Let's continue on with our lyrics. They come with prices and vices. Well, that rhymes. Prices, vices. What does vice mean? Well, a vice is a noun and it simply means a bad habit. So remember her line before is that she shouldn't be left to her own devices. She shouldn't be able to make her own decisions. If she does, well, then she has a lot of bad habits that will influence her decisions. So that could be a reason why she shouldn't be left to her own devices. Now, we use this quite a lot with bad habits that aren't that bad of habits, like chocolate. A lot of people will say chocolate is my main vice in life, which is saying, you know, you shouldn't eat so much chocolate, but you do anyway. It's a bad habit of yours. So you can use this with more serious vices like drugs and alcohol, but we also use it with more light vices like chocolate or McDonald's or things like that. Maybe listening to too much Taylor Swift is your vice because you should be working and not listening to Taylor Swift. Okay, let's continue on. So remember, we're skipping quite a lot because we're just focusing on specific words that I don't think you'll understand. Because you got tired of my scheming. Now, what does it mean to scheme? When you scheme, it's when you make plans, but those plans are secret. And the purpose of those plans is to deceive others. Deceive simply means you want them to believe or do something that isn't true or isn't good for them. So it's a negative thing to scheme. To scheme. How can we trick someone? How can we do something that will benefit us but not them? Here's an example for you. My kids have been scheming to avoid chores. So imagine your kids are like, how can we tell mom that we don't need to clean the bathroom? Or how can we get dad to do the dishes for us? That's scheming. And then they talk back and forth to each other. We can tell them we have homework to do, but then they don't actually have homework. It's just the scheme, right? So, of course, this is more of a lighthearted example, but it can be used in a more negative way as well. You can scheme to try to cheat or steal, for example. So, because you got tired of my scheming. So someone, whoever the you is, was tired of Taylor Swift always creating these plans to deceive that person, scheming. And it makes sense that the person would get tired of it, not want her to do that. Okay, then the chorus. The chorus is pretty simple. There's just one word that I'll point out. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. So to stare, this is the same as look. So right now I'm looking here, but notice when I look, sometimes my eyes will move a little bit or I'll blink my eyes. But when you stare, it's really intense. And I look directly at you and I don't blink. I'm just staring. So it can be very intimidating when you stare at someone And it's considered rude or impolite in North American culture, at least, to stare. But in this example, staring directly at the sun, which is actually something you should not do because it can hurt your eyes. You shouldn't stare at the sun. So let me leave that as your example sentence. You shouldn't stare at the sun because you could hurt your eyes. So don't take that advice from Taylor Swift. But she never stares in the mirror. So she doesn't look at herself for a long period of time intensely in the mirror. So I left the definition of stare for you as well. Now let's continue on. It must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. You know what anti-hero is. So let's talk about the verb to root. And notice you root for someone, or you can root for something as well. Here's the definition. When you root for someone, you want that person or team to win or to achieve something specific in the sense of a promotion or a job. They win that promotion, they win that job. So you can think of it really as winning. We do use this a lot in sports. So let's say it was the World Cup and we had France and Argentina in the playoffs, right? So you would ask someone, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for? Which team are you rooting for? You're asking them, who do you want to win? Are you rooting for France or are you rooting for Argentina? Why are you rooting for France? And then you can explain why. Now, let's say there's two people up for a job promotion, Fred and Nancy. Are you rooting for Fred or are you rooting for Nancy? Or it could be in a political context. You have two candidates. Are you rooting for candidate X or candidate Y? So let me just leave that example sentence with sports because that is probably the most common time you'll use it. Are you rooting for France or Argentina? And then whoever you're rooting for is the person or team you want to win. Okay. It must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. So you want the anti-hero to win. Remember, I highly recommend you listen to the song with the lyrics, and then you can see all this new vocabulary and you can listen to the song. Did you know that this is the most popular song according to the charts right now at the time of this recording? That's why I chose it. Okay. And remember I said it seems like the lyrics don't really make a lot of sense. They don't tell a story. It's more like she's talking about her dream. Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby. Like that's something you might have dreamt about last night, right? So that's why I'm not going through it word for word and I'm focusing on specific words. Did you hear my covert narcissism I disguise as altruism? I'll explain some other words here because you might be wondering about covert. Covert simply means secret or hidden. This is used a lot in a military context. They're on a covert mission. So it's a mission that's secret. The general public has no knowledge of it. They're on a covert mission. They're working on a covert project, for example. So it's used more in military, but it could also be used at work. You could be working on a covert project within your company. Now let's talk about narcissism and altruism. Narcissism is having too much self-interest, interest in your own appearance, or it could also be your abilities as well. And covert narcissism is I'm trying to hide it. I'm trying to keep this interest in myself secret or hidden from others. Altruism, on the other hand, is more of the opposite of narcissism because altruistic people are more concerned about others, not themselves. And it's that willingness to do things for others, even if it means sacrificing your own needs. That's altruism. Now let's talk about disguise. When you disguise something, you try to hide it. And in this case, it's a feeling or an emotion. But we also you can try to disguise yourself. I could try to disguise myself by wearing a black wig. So I could have black hair instead of my normal hair. I could wear glasses and I could wear different clothing so I don't look like myself. Nobody would recognize me if they saw me on the street, for example. So you can disguise yourself, but in this case, she's talking about disguising an emotion. So trying to hide that emotion with another emotion. So she's trying to hide her narcissism, which is interest in herself, her secret narcissism, as altruism, interest in other people. So that's a very interesting lyric, to be honest. It's very well written. Let's continue on. Okay, our chorus again. So remember, we saw stare and rooting, and we already discussed that. Now let's take a look at daughter-in-law. Again, this is what caused me to say this is more like her talking about her dream. Because when I first saw this, I was really confused because Taylor Swift cannot have a daughter-in-law. She's too young to have a daughter-in-law because a daughter-in-law is the woman who is married to your son or daughter. So if Taylor Swift had a daughter-in-law, Taylor Swift would have to have a child, a son or a daughter, but that child would have to be old enough to be married. And then the person her child marries is either her daughter-in-law for a woman or son-in-law for a man. Now, obviously, that's not possible. But if you're in your mid to late 40s or 50s, 60s, then you could definitely have a daughter-in-law. But you possibly have a mother-in-law. A mother-in-law is the mother of your husband or wife. So in the song, she says, I have this dream. My daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them in the will. Okay, that sounds like a common dream that one could have. Now, a will is a legal document. And it outlines how your assets, now your assets could be your money, your house, your car, or any other possessions, will be distributed, which means given to other people after you die. Now, I wonder what this is in your native language. Do you use the terminology will just translated in your native language? I wonder. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about that. Okay, the daughter-in-law, thinks I left them in the will. That's funny. All right. So it's the chorus again. And that's it.
You are doing so awesome. Make sure you listen to the song, listen to the vocabulary you just learned, and when you're ready, let's move on with our next song, Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Here we go.
Let's get started with the song review and we'll go through the song together. Now keep in mind for copyright purposes, I'm not allowed to play the song, but I have included the link to where you can listen to the song with the lyrics so you can learn what the lyrics mean, and then after this lesson, you can listen to the song with the lyrics. The song starts by saying, we were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were good, we were gold. I said I wasn't going to sing. Notice the verb tense here. We were good. What verb tense is this? Of course, it's the past simple of the verb to be. So it means, of course, they are no longer good, which implies this is a song about a breakup. A breakup. A breakup is when a romantic couple is together, but then they break up and they're no longer together. That's a breakup. So you could say this is a breakup song. So here I gave you some examples. This is a song about a breakup. This is our noun. And here we're no longer together. We broke up. This is the phrasal verb break up. And this is the past form. Broke is the past simple of break. We were good. We're not anymore. We were gold. We're not anymore. Kind of dream that can't be sold. In music, it's very common to reduce certain words for pronunciation purposes because it flows smoother. Kinda is a reduction of the word kind of. And in this case, it means the kind of dream. So it's talking about the type of dream, the kind of dream, the type of dream. Kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't. Built a home and watched it burn. So here, when they were still a couple, before they broke up, they built a home together and then they broke up and now they're watching it burn. Of course, metaphorically, not literally. They're watching all their memories, their time together burn. So this sets the tone of the song. We know it's going to be a sad song about a breakup. Now this is the pre-chorus. I didn't want to leave you. Wanna is a reduction. It's the word want to. But when you're singing, it's a lot easier to say I didn't wanna than saying I didn't want to leave you. So it's just easier to say in spoken English, especially when you're singing. So this is saying that it wasn't Miley's decision to break up, to end the relationship. I didn't want to leave you. I didn't want to lie. I'm not sure what they're lying about. A lie is, of course, when you do not tell the truth. To lie. Now notice the verb I'm using here. You tell the truth. In this case, truth is a noun and we do not use the verb say. You never say the truth and you never say lies. You always tell the truth or you tell lies. But when you use tell is your verb and lies is a noun. It doesn't have to be plural. You could tell a lie or you can tell lies in the plural. But for truth, there's only one truth, right? Which is why we use the truth and it's singular, but you can say a lie or lies in plural. But again, lies and truth, that's the noun, and the verb is tell. But you can also use lie as a verb. For example, I lied to my boyfriend. This is our verb lie, and it's in the past simple. I lied to my boyfriend. I didn't want to lie, started to cry, but then I remembered. Now the song goes into the chorus, and although this is a breakup song, the song becomes more optimistic, more upbeat in the chorus. I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand. Now notice she doesn't repeat this I can, but it's implied for every line. I can write my name in the sand. I can talk to myself for hours, but that would sound quite repetitive to say it over and over. So this I can applies to all the actions. buy myself flowers. So someone else usually gives you flowers, right? I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, because normally when you're in love, you write your name with your initials and your boyfriend or girlfriend's initials in the sand with a big heart around it. So she's saying, I can write my name in the sand. Talk to myself for hours. This is a good time reference here, 4 hours. This is a non-specific amount of time, but it sounds like a long time. For example, we worked on the project 4 hours, 4 hours. That sounds like a long time, even though you don't specify it. Now, you can specify the time and say we worked on the project for 3 hours and be more specific. But if you don't include a specific quantity and just say 4 hours, it sounds like a long period of time. Now, this time reference, 4 hours, is flexible and you can use it in different verb tenses. For example, you can use it in the present perfect continuous and you can say, we've been working on the project 4 hours. So remember, 4 hours just means a long period of time. And it's in the present perfect continuous because it shows that the action started in the past and continues until now. And we actually don't know when the action will stop. But this one in the past simple, it's a completed action. You're not working on it anymore. But yesterday or last week, you worked on the project 4 hours. Coming back to our song, talk to myself for hours. I can talk to myself for a long period of time. I can say things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing. Notice this sentence structure. You can take someone, and then you have an activity or a location. So generally, someone else will take you dancing. They will come to your house and you'll get in the car and you will go together to a club and go dancing, right? But Miley is saying, I can take myself dancing. You don't have to use this in a romantic context, of course. For example, I took my mom. So I got my mom, and then together we went to the doctor's appointment. I took my mom to her doctor's appointment. We waited 4 hours for a long period of time. So generally we use this when we want to express some frustration. Oh, I was stuck in traffic 4 hours. Okay, let's continue on. And I can hold my own hand. So of course, let's say this is your boyfriend or your husband. It's very common to hold hands. And she's just joking and saying, I don't need you. I can hold my own hand, which I think is quite funny. I can love me better than you can. Notice our sentence structure here. This is a comparative sentence. I can, and then a certain activity. And then we have our comparative adjective, better than someone can. Let's review these two sentences here. Miley can sing better than I can. That's true. Or I can say Miley can sing better than me. Notice the difference between these two sentences. In this one, I have I and then can. Because I'm using a verb, you need a subject before the verb, I can. Now, Miley uses this word can a lot in her chorus, which is probably why she ended it on can rather than just saying better than you, better than you, better than you can. Now, you can also just say better than someone, and in this case you want a pronoun. Miley can sing better than me. And the next part just repeats can love me better over and over again in the song. Now, the next part, paint my nails. So that's when you put nail polish. You paint your nails with nail polish. Paint my nails cherry red, the color. Match the roses that you left. So match. Well, what is being matched here? When you match, you have two or more things that are coming together. So we have cherry red, which is a bright red. And then we have roses, which are also red. So I can say, oh, look, my nail polish matches the roses. The sentence structure is X matches Y. Our verb is match, and it just means X, the nail polish, combines well with Y. Combines well in the sense that it is similar to. Similar to. So if I'm wearing this sweater, I might say, what lipstick will match this sweater? Or what jewelry will match this sweater? What combines well with this sweater? And you can do that for paint. When you're painting your room, does the paint match the chair? Does the pillow match the chair, for example? Okay, let's continue on. No remorse, no regret. These are two great words, especially in the context of a breakup song. Remorse is a deep feeling of sadness for a wrongdoing. So let's say Miley cheated on her boyfriend and that's why they broke up. It's considered wrong to cheat on someone, right? So that's a wrongdoing is something, an action that is considered wrong by society or by your own personal values. So if Miley cheated on her boyfriend, she might feel remorse, which is a really deep feeling of sadness. Now, regret is very similar to remorse, to be honest. It's a feeling of sadness over something that has happened. So very similar. Both of them are negative emotions. I would say remorse, it's a deeper feeling. It's a more painful feeling. And also there's always a wrongdoing associated with it. Whereas regret, you didn't necessarily do something wrong. Maybe you regret not applying for a job. But it isn't wrong to not apply for that job. It's just a decision that you made. So they're very similar, but just used in different context. So no remorse. She doesn't feel a deep feeling of sadness for a wrongdoing, and no regret. She doesn't regret ending the relationship. She doesn't regret telling the person that she doesn't love them anymore. No regret. I forgive every word you said. When you forgive someone, it means you're no longer mad at them. Now we get into the chorus again, and it's the same as before. Before she said, I didn't want to lie, and now she's saying, I didn't want to fight. When two people fight, it's when they're in an argument or a disagreement. That's, they're fighting. Oh, my parents are fighting again, or my two friends are fighting again. You don't just have to fight with a romantic relationship. You can fight with your sibling. You can fight with your friend. So when you get into a disagreement and you're mad at each other, you can say, we're fighting. Here are two example sentences. My sister and I fight a lot. Very common for siblings to fight. My husband and I rarely fight. So fight is the only word that's different here. And then it goes right into the chorus, which we already reviewed. So now, and we reviewed this already. And this is the chorus again. And this is the chorus again. So that is the end of the song. So now you know all the lyrics from the song. So again, click on this link. It will be in the description below. And I want you to listen to Miley Cyrus's song and you can follow along with the lyrics as well.
Oh, you have already learned so many advanced expressions, grammar concepts, and pronunciation as well. I have one more song for you. This is a classic song, Yesterday by the Beatles. Let's do it.
It's an oldie but a goodie. We're reviewing the song Yesterday by the Beatles. So let's go through the lyrics together. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Of course, you'll need to notice that our keyword is yesterday. So notice all the verbs that are going to be in the past simple because we're talking about yesterday. Yesterday, all my troubles. This is another way of saying problems or difficulties. All my problems, all my difficulties seemed so far away. Of course, our verb in the past simple seemed. They seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Let's take a look at this. It looks as though. This is used to show probability. You can think of it as 75% probable. So 75% chance that something will happen. So here the something is that his problems, his troubles are here to stay. Now, it looks as though is not the most commonly used. It sounds a little outdated, a little formal perhaps. And remember, the Beatles are from quite a long time ago. Today, more commonly, we say it looks as, do you know what? It looks as if they're here to stay. So it looks as though is grammatically correct, but in my opinion, it's more common to say it looks as if they're here to stay. They have the exact same meaning. Now, to show you an example sentence, you could say it looks as though or as if it'll rain. It'll rain. Here, notice I used a contraction. It'll rain. The full form is it will rain. So again, I might look out my window, see some dark clouds, and then say, oh, it looks as if it'll rain. I'm saying it's about 75% probable. You can also use it looks like, and in this case, you could say it looks like rain. A little difference when we use it looks like, generally what comes next is a noun. So in this case, rain is a noun. It looks like plus noun is more common when you use it looks like. And then when you use it looks as though, as if, we have a clause. It looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Now, just quickly notice the preposition. It's always important to remember which prepositions are used with which words. Believe in. You believe in something. And a very nice thing to say to someone is, I believe in you. So if your friend tells you they want to be the next Beatles, they want to be an amazing singer-songwriter, you can say, I believe in you. I believe in your vision, your goals, your dreams. I believe in you. It's a very nice thing to say. So say that to someone today. It will make them very happy. And I believe in you, all of you, and your ability to become a fluent, confident English speaker, hopefully with my help. Let's continue on. Now, I will also let you know that You can download the free lesson PDF, so you don't need to worry about writing everything down because you can download the free lesson PDF that will have all the notes from the lesson. So you can look in the description of this video, or you can look in the chat in the first comment pinned to find the lesson PDF. Let's continue on. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. Suddenly, we use this, of course, for time. Suddenly, there is not a lot of time when an action happens. So you can say, suddenly the phone rang. Suddenly, my boss gave me a promotion. So this expresses that it happened very quickly and often unexpectedly as well. So quickly, and I'll put in brackets, and unexpectedly. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. Let's take a look at this, a very common past simple expression. I used to be a writer. For example, I used to be a writer. This means I am not a writer now, but it was a routine action in the past. I used to. I used to. Notice my pronunciation. You don't hear this D at all. I used to. I used to. I used to be a writer. I used to work at a bank. I used to live in Hawaii. That's not true. None of these are true, actually. So you try one. Leave an example sentence with I used to. Now you could say she used to. There'd be no difference in the conjugation, of course, because this is a past simple verb and it's the same for all subjects. So here I could put they used to work at a bank. She used to live in Hawaii. So try some example sentences. Remember the spelling here, we have an ED, but you don't hear it in pronunciation. Let's continue on. There's a shadow hanging over me. This is a very poetic line. Of course, a shadow is an area of darkness caused by the absence of light. Actually, you can see a little bit of a shadow right here in the corner. It's a little bit of a dark spot, just the way the light is reflecting against an object on my wall that you can't see. There's a little bit of a shadow. So the shadow hanging over him could be the image of this woman that he's talking about in this song, and it's just her image is just there with him. I'm not sure if that's what it means. It's very poetic, but that's what a shadow is at least. So when you're taking a picture, you want to be mindful of shadows because you want to remove as many shadows as you can. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Notice here, suddenly, before we had it at the beginning. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. And here we have it at the end. This adverb is quite flexible. You can put it at different parts. Yesterday came suddenly. I said before, suddenly the phone rang. I could also say the phone rang suddenly. Suddenly. So it's a flexible adverb. Of course, our past simple came because it's yesterday. So this is a great beginner song to practice the past simple. Why she had to go. Remember, this is a song. This is actually not grammatically correct, though. Do you know why? What's the grammar error here? Why she had to go. Why she had to go. Well, we know this is a question because there's a question mark here and it starts with why, which is a question mark. When we have a WH question in this form, we need why. Do you know how to correct this? Why did she have to go? Why did she have to go? Now notice I changed had to have. Why? Because my past simple is here. Why did, and then you use the base verb because my past simple is already indicated with the auxiliary verb do conjugated in the past simple. Why did she have to go? As a song, it probably sounds better to say this even though it is grammatically incorrect. So let me just write this so you don't say this in your speech. Grammatically incorrect. And then this is grammatically correct. Why did she have to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. She wouldn't say. Wouldn't is our modal verb. In this case, it's being used to suggest a unwillingness. For example, she wouldn't help me. She wouldn't help me. She wouldn't help me. There's an unwillingness. She could help me. She had the ability to help me, but she didn't. She wouldn't help me. Now, important grammatically, when you have a modal verb, your next verb needs to be the base verb, not the infinitive. Modal plus base verb. So we don't say she wouldn't to say, because that's the infinitive, to say. She wouldn't to help me. No, that's incorrect. Now, it's also possible she would help me. She would help me. And here, it's not she would to help me because that's the infinitive. We don't want that. We want our base verb. She would help me. She wouldn't help me. She refused to help me. I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. This is a very poetic expression. Honestly, I don't think you'll use it too much in your speech, but it is a very nice poetic expression, and you may hear it in other songs, movies, TV, and most likely poetry as well. I long for. When you long for something, you really, really, really want it. There's a strong desire for that. You might say, I long for summer, for example. Right now, it's winter. It's very cold. I long for summer. I long to see the trees in bloom. The trees in bloom, the flowers in bloom. Notice, because I have a verb here, I use the infinitive. I long to see the trees in bloom. I long for summer. Summer is a noun. So we use for plus noun. Let me write this. For plus noun. And then you use infinitive if you're going to use a verb. So long plus infinitive. And this is long plus for plus noun. Now, because long is a verb, you do need to conjugate it. She longs for summer. She longed for summer. That would be in the past simple, of course. She longs for summer. I long to see the trees in bloom. It sounds very poetic. Honestly, I probably wouldn't say that because it does sound very poetic. I probably wouldn't say it to my friends, but it sounds beautiful to me. So why don't you try that in the comments below? Try sharing something that you long for, or you can use a hypothetical she, he, we long for as well. Let's continue on. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Of course, our verb to be in the past simple conjugated with our subject, which is love. That's why it's was. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Again, I believe in you. I believe in your abilities. I believe in your talent. You got this. Let's continue on. Okay, this is back to the chorus, so I don't think there's anything new here. Why she had to go, we already talked about this. This is the same as before. And that's the end of the song. So it's a simple song, but it's a great reminder of the past simple because it's about yesterday, and there's some very nice expressions in this song as well. So now what I recommend is that you listen to the song. So the link to listen to the song and follow along with the lyrics is in the free lesson PDF that you can download, this exact PDF, and you can listen to this song. I hope you enjoyed this lyric review.
So what did you think about this lesson? Did you enjoy learning English with music? Would you like me to create more lessons where we review song lyrics? If so, put more in the comments so I know you enjoyed this lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And why don't you get started with your next lesson right now?